On today's question of faith, how does a Catholic mom find time to do everything? Hey everybody, welcome to Question of Faith. I'm Mike Hayes. I'm the Director of Young Adult Ministry in the Diocese of Cleveland.
And I'm Father Damian. I'm not a Catholic mom, but I am the Vicar for Evangelization in the Diocese of Cleveland.
My name's Dena Durante. I am from St. Ambrose in Brunswick.
Desi Gould from Holy Trinity in Avon.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Lovely to have you. I'm not a Catholic mom either.
Oh, no. Neither of us are Catholic moms. That's why we needed two Catholic moms in here. So
Absolutely. So how does a Catholic mom find time to do everything?
I liked your first
I
answer.
know. I said we don't. We don't find time to do everything.
That is the correct answer. That's the thing. But we have community, right? We have faithful friends, community, faithful friends, and I don't know, a whole lot of, what do you think?
Just lots of family.
Lots of
family and friends.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? Because we came up with this topic, and by the way, if you don't know, Desi Gould was on a recent cover of Northeast Ohio Catholic, the January-February issue 2023, with her husband Matt and their 3 children. He had a miraculous recovery from a COVID situation, and I've known Desi and Dena for over 20 years, and we were in a text thread talking about things, and this topic came up that they just feel like they have so many things to do, and so as Catholic moms, so what are some of the pressures that you feel, and how do you get things done? Don't all talk at once.
I know.
Well,
I think first and foremost, like, our goal is we want our children, our goal is to get them to heaven, right? We love our children. We want them to encounter Christ, be in communion with Christ. But oftentimes there's a litany of things that we have to do, from whether that's working or cleaning or cooking or maybe even finding time for a friend, which becomes really hard, admittingly.
Speaking of, we've tried to do this for about a year now, all of us getting together. So if that kind of...
That's a great example.
Yeah.
How long does it take for us to really get together in the throes of motherhood?
Yes.
like, what's a typical day like for you? Like, if you had a typical day where you got up and you had to get everything done, what are the types of things you got to get done?
So a typical, I'm sure ours are probably similar.
And let them know what you do, too, so they have an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, so I myself am a nurse, and Desiree is a guidance counselor, college
Counselor.
at
St.
Ed's.
in
I'm at the
Lakewood,
Cleveland
right?
Clinic in Medina. But a typical morning, it's probably similar for us because we both have little kids to get ready for school. And that's always fun. Whether we're, the fight of getting them awake or wanting.
We were just talking about that this morning.
Yes, just trying to get them awake and get them going, not to mention the lunches. And
Yes. How old are they now?
Well, we have similar ages. We have, mine's about to be 9, my oldest. Melania's going to be 9 at the end of this month. And then Maria for Desiree is going to be 9 next month. Joe is... 7. And then I have a 5-year-old, and then she also has, what is he going to be? 3?
Leo's going to be 2.
Only
what?
2.
Wow.
This is what happens. Best friends, and even in the mix of this, we're
Well,
like, what's going on with your kid today?
And he also looks like he's like 4. But anyway.
This is coming from, Antonio looks like he's 16.
They are. But no, in the morning, it's like by the time and I don't know if you feel this way too, by the time you get to work, it's like you've already been through a circus, and actually I sometimes feel I can take a deep breath once I get to work, which is kind of crazy to say that. And then, your workday is probably hourly similar to mine-ish, 8 to 4, whatever. And then you get home,
right?
And then it starts again. You got dinner, you have homework.
Right.
Your kids are involved in what? I mean...
Yeah, it's a million things.
Dating.
We were joking because it feels like sometimes I saw this meme recently and it was like, yes, this is what I've decided to do. I decided to get married where now my weeknights are filled with 7 different activities and I'm relearning algebra. I didn't do great with that the first time around. Why am I doing it now?
Oh, that's a whole separate problem.
Math homework. Mm-hmm. I know this probably sounds terrible, but sometimes I joke and I say, Jesus, you gave us Matt. You let him stay here with us, not just to build your kingdom, but to do math homework with Maria.
That's right.
That must be the answer.
Right.
And Desi, you just get more joy by going to work at a high school.
Oh, with all boys. They're just so wonderful.
Hitting each other with their book bags. And
I know.
God knows
I
what
always
else.
say, I'm like, this whole teenage boy thing, that one, I figured,
right.
yeah, I have those guys figured out for sure. I know. I love them. They're fabulous. But, I mean, they come with a whole... It's like you just said it perfectly. I feel like I leave my chaos of the morning to kind of enter more chaos with like a different type of drama and a different type of need.
To return to more chaos at the end of the day.
Return to more chaos at the end of the day.
And then to wake up and do it all over again. And I love it, and I want to change it for the world.
So where do you find the peace in all that? It's
Well, I'll tell you, it's not social media because they'll make you feel like probably one of the worst mothers out there.
why?
Did we talk about this on the way here too? Just how, everybody's kids are involved in different things
And they're so perfect.
and they are perfect, and it's always that snapshot that we, so nicely filtered to make it look like it was so happy, and everybody's so happy, and really everyone's exhausted and probably yelling actually at the same time. But to find peace, I don't know. I think Desiree might be better at finding peace.
I don't know that I'm better at it. I just think I really value the gifts around me, right? And I see that in my friends. Like, I'm so grateful to have such a strong community of believers in my life, people that are going to help me, people that are going to support me. Dena, you have this with Tim McCready.
Oh, shout out to Tim McCready.
I'd like to
Uncle
note that
Wardy.
I actually shouted him out first, just for the record. But to be fair, like, we have these friends, right? We have these friends in our lives that they're there to support us. They're there to help us with the pickups and the drop-offs and to pray with us and to care for our kids. And, like, it's that community of believers. I'm just so grateful to have those friendships.
And Tim is one of Dena's husband's classmates from Holy Name who is currently watching your daughter today
Melania.
because she's sick.
Ellie and
So-
Woody are out there too, yeah.
So having friends help you parent
We would
is
never
important.
survive without certain people in our lives. He's definitely one of them, but without him, I mean, it's just not possible.
That's how I feel about, like, Aunt
Lizzie.
Lizzie. I know,
Yeah.
everyone, my aunts are like, we joke about my aunts because they have so many different gifts. So if you need a seamstress, there's Aunt Eva. Aunt Sonia, she's going to provide you with a lot of solid advice and a good laugh. And Aunt Lizzie, she's the one that's giving her time. And these are, again, three beautiful mothers that live out their faith, not just in the tradition of our faith, but in the spirit of our faith. And they do that for everyone. Like, all of my friends call my aunts aunt. Like, it's like they're their aunts too.
Right. Oh gosh, it's so true.
Yeah. It's sort of like the random love languages, right? That you just mentioned. Like, one gives you gifts of time, one gives, all those
that's
things.
so true.
Cool.
Service, time.
Affirmation, Dena.
That's right. Oh yeah.
I mean, dare I ask, neither one of you have mentioned your husbands yet.
Oh
So-
God, really? You're gonna call us out like that?
So what do they do? Or what do they not do?
My husband is a high school teacher at Columbia High School.
More chaos. Good,
And
yeah.
there's more. He's actually a coach. He coaches football and is the head coach for baseball. So
So busy.
it's
yeah.
a lot.
Super busy.
It's a lot.
But one of the ways he provides, I know because I follow him on Twitter, is he's a great cook and he's providing meals for the family.
Yeah. Oh, we love a good Twitter and a good picture of food. Who can live without that?
It tastes so good.
I'm incredibly blessed. Actually, when Matt was in the hospital, the kids did, speaking of food, they did kind of make comments of her so often. Not that I'm not a great cook, but man, Dad's cooking. He is a fabulous cook. So they were like, where's Dad's food?
And Dad is also good friends with Father Mike McCandless, and they're fishermen, aren't they? They go fishing. I don't know if they've
yes.
fished recently.
Matt is super faithful. Like, talk about, a St. Joseph in the house. I mean, he definitely leads our family when it comes to faith. There's no question. And he has built so many relationships with so many priests in our diocese, probably many that like to fish or that like to cook or that enjoy bourbon or whatever, right? Like, he has managed to just form these beautiful relationships and bring that into our home and really build the domestic church of our house, which is really the greatest gift.
It's awesome.
And so on the craziest days for either one of you, what's one prayer or prayer practice that kind of gets you through?
Oh, mine's just I think I've almost said it during Mass this morning. Mine's just almost like, dear God, please help me. Right now we're dealing with lots of illness, like literally nonstop. every probably 2 weeks somebody is sick, if not every week. So mine's definitely just a very whatever comes to mind. Just today, it's please help me and help us get through this illness. Because we have another one in the house, sick again.
I will say, and this is for you, but I think one of the things is like when I reached out to my friends, especially my mom friends, right? And I reached out to them in prayer for Matt when he was so ill. And we talk a lot about that, the power of prayer. I know my friends and I know exactly how they're praying. And one of the things that I felt lots of grace in, I don't know if that's the right word, but was I know Dena has a beautiful voice. So I know a lot of the ways that she was praying was through song, was through music. And I imagine that's probably one of the ways that
we
you...
talked about it.
Yes.
And Damian knows a little How Great Thou Art. Carrie Underwood. Tune in if you guys have never listened. I would drive to the hospital and just be bawling my eyes out and saying, come on, Matt. Desiree and the kids need you. And that's what I would do every day on the way to work. And I
knew that, right? I felt that. Like, you never said that.
Right.
And you never told me that. I just knew that.
Yep,
like, in my heart of heart,
did.
in the depths of my soul, I knew that there was these amazing women out there, and they were praying in very special ways, whatever the way, the Lord provided them, right? And I'm very grateful for that. For me personally, I wake up every day just with a very grateful heart, and that's more or less how I start my day. I have a Bible study, so I'm actively doing that. That's something I love to do, with some amazing women who also were there to support me in the depths of some dark moments. And then if I can get to a daily mass, if I can go to Adoration Weekly, that is really where I find my peace. So I really try to fit that in, and even with the crazy schedule that we have, I really try to make that a priority.
So, what was your mom like, Father D? Like, how did she find time to do everything? Or did she find time to do everything?
She did. My mom was pretty quiet compared to Tina and Desi. No, she was a lot more shy, and I'm much more like my dad. My dad had the big personality, but my mom was quiet in her witness. She prayed the rosary, that was her thing, but never made a big deal about it. She liked to take walks and just pray when she walked. And I think I picked that up from my mom. I also know that it was like I was a hyperactive child, so I think it was difficult for her to mother me at times.
No, not you.
So yeah, I think that was her way. She was not a daily mass goer like my dad was, but she often read the readings. And she also liked to sing, and she liked to play piano, and so that was kind of her way of expressing her faith too. But she, a pretty devoted woman, but quiet in her witness. In fact, this weekend I gave a talk at St. Mary's in Hudson for the retreat, and I was talking about how our experience of our parents, for better or for worse, affects our experience of God.
Yeah, right.
And I found letters that my mom and dad wrote me for my 8th grade confirmation retreat. And I read them back, and they were really great.
Yeah.
And my mom said something in there like, "You're a very exciting young man. You have a lot of potential." That meant that I wasn't working hard in school. So, but she loved me, and she said, "Stay close to Jesus and Mary." So even those kind of things, like, I think when parents say, "Look, I'm doing my best, but God, your father, will never let you down, and Mary, your mother, wants to be your friend too." I think all that stuff can be really helpful too.
Yeah.
How about you? How about your mom?
Yeah, no, my mom was sick most of my life, so that I think that informed a lot of her faith. Actually, was that she was like, "Well, look, I'm suffering with rheumatoid arthritis and severe asthma and all kinds of things." And so that's difficult, but she really resonated with Teresa of Lisieux, who a lot of sick people really resonate with, right? And so she was always praying to the little flower. She always had a picture of Saint Therese by her bedside, whether she was at home or in the hospital. If we were taking her out in an ambulance, she was like, "Get that picture." And she'd bring it with her all the time. So she was very devoted in that way. And again, my father was different, sort of the opposite experience of you. My father was more quiet and more, I got to go get things done and be there for the family and, work hard. He was a hard worker. He was a school custodian, Irish immigrant, a good union guy. And so the two of them kind of balanced each other. My mother was also the disciplinarian in the house, and my father was sort of the more soft touch.
We're the opposite with our folks.
Yeah. It was funny, though. Like, my mother, if I ever got in trouble, which was not often, but when I did, she would say, "Just you wait until your father gets home." And I'd look at her like, what the heck's he gonna do? I'm like, I'm more afraid of you than him at this point, you know.
Yeah, my dad would raise his voice and holler, and sometimes get irrational. So I would talk. Be like, what would he say?
The
Like, what?
impressions of his dad.
Yeah, well, I can't even think of what he would say right now. But then I would ask like a question. He goes, he'd say, "Don't you get smart with me, son?" And I'll be like, well, isn't that why you're sending me to Catholic school, so I could become smart? He'd be like, "Oh!" And then my mom would be like, "Damian," and then she would just, because she had a different way of talking to me than my dad did, and it was a little more effective. But anyway, that's for another podcast.
That's great.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
What about your parents? Were they your moms in particular? I'd say.
Mine was more probably like yours. My mom's very loud and the discipline.
Catholic school teacher.
Catholic
your mom.
school
right.
teacher, yes. And my dad was very gentle. And actually, the one time he tried to, I don't even know what we did. My sister, I don't remember, but next thing you know, he like had the wooden spoon in his hand, and I don't know what he thought he was even going to do. And my sister and I looked at each other and just started laughing. And then he started laughing. So it didn't go really that far. But my mom, just a good yell, still to this day. Can you scare anybody? I mean, we friends over. I mean, even they would hide. So, I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about.
We didn't get spanked as children, but her voice still to this day is a little scary.
Strong Ukrainian woman.
That's
I don't
right.
know. Your mom's always loved me, though. Don't worry.
Well, yeah. She has your picture on the fridge.
How about your parents, Des?
I think for me, I always just tell people it takes a village, right? So I was very loved as a child, and we moved around a lot, and I grew up at the heart of Cleveland. So I had so much like family with me. But I think that would be like the best way to say it. I think for me,
Makes sense.
The thing that I have really held on to the most, especially with my children, has been going to Mother Mary. In the depths of not knowing exactly what to do a lot of times and not always knowing where to go. I just find that going to her gives me a lot of peace, because I always kind of wonder, like, I don't know, Jesus, like, were you really that perfect as a child? Like, I've got questions. Like, I look at my kids and I'm like, I know you're the likeness and image, but I am really struggling today, Joey Bear or whatever.
Yes.
Jesus brings all his friends to the wedding, and they drink all the wine.
Yes.
Come on.
Like, I just want to know, like, what did you do with him, Mary? Like, there's got to be a moment. Did he go in the corner too?
Yeah, he was. Well, we have to believe he's without sin, but that doesn't mean he may not have caused a commotion from. I mean, when he was lost in the temple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that situation.
That's true.
Yeah.
We've been
Like, if
troubled.
your kid gets lost in the store, that's not good.
Have you met my kids? See, that's the other thing. Our kids are very different.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a good.
they're very
That's another
different.
part about motherhood when you have very different children. Like all three of mine are very different,
Oh, wow.
and even compared to yours.
I was called different a lot when I
No,
was.
not that kind of different.
Still today, Father.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what you're talking about. They're all angels. They're all little angels in the world. Future saints, right here. We're raising them. Future saints.
That's right. So do you use any resources? Do you like anything help you, like internet resources or books or things that have been meaningful to you?
I know Dena's looking at me because I'm a total nerd when it comes to
No.
this stuff. Or is that what you're
not
thinking?
Nerd. No, you just.
I am like I love this kind of stuff. So like from Catholic Family Crate to Ascension Press has come out with some really cool kid books recently, actually. There's like this Catholic Sprouts. Yeah. So I like live for these kinds of things to like implement in my house, because honestly, like one of the things I have found to be helpful is just making our liturgical calendar like come alive for the kids. We definitely celebrate our feast days, like Maria, her feast day, St. Teresa of Lisieux. Matt buys her roses every year on that feast.
Nice.
Joey just got a new toolbox where he'll get a new tool for St. Joseph's feast day. We celebrate their baptismal days, like they get to pick like the dessert or the dinner for that night. Like it's super simple. It's not like we're doing anything elaborate, but
Right.
I think for me, it's just like
Yeah.
easy ways to implement like our love of the faith.
Yeah, and enough for children, right? You know, they can't grab everything, so that's good. The things that friends of mine have said, CatholicMom.com, if you haven't been there, Lisa Hendy is really great. Pray for her, by the way. She has breast cancer, so she asks for prayers. But she also has the Catholic Mom Cast, so we'll put some links to that as well. And then since it's Lent, I give away things during Lent. And so, Desi, this is for you. Taste and See by Ginny, Kubitz, Moyer. And then Random Moments of Grace, which if you notice in the word moments there, the word mom is highlighted. And so Ginny Kubitz Moyer is a friend of mine, and she's a writer, and she writes about motherhood most of the time. So I figured those two. Desi, that one was a little more devotional, so I thought that would be good for you.
Oh, thank
so there
you.
you go.
Yes.
Mike's love language is gift giving, I think.
Yeah,
is that
that's right? Yeah, or acts of service. Yeah,
Acts of service. Okay,
yeah,
it's an act of service. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Can you teach my husband? I like acts of service.
Actually, his cooking is an act of service.
Yeah, I know. I need to stop eating though. Maybe, maybe not that service.
That's right.
No, but
Maybe you
that's
could wash
great.
each other's feet for Holy
boy.
Thursday night.
My wife and I do that every year.
Oh, that's fun.
Exactly. The year after we met, when we got engaged, that was really meaningful for us. Our whole parish did a little foot washing thing on Holy Thursday, and she washed my feet. It was really, really touching. Like I still cry every year when she does it. So yeah.
That's really nice. I was going to say maybe they could just send you and I to get a pedicure, but that was better.
That's where my head went as well.
We were both like, hey, Matt, Dan, pedicures for the girls.
Avon, Brunswick, anyone will do.
We'll travel further if we need to.
Exactly.
But that is where my mind went. But either way.
That's funny. And you don't get pedicures here, but you do go to a church from time to time. And so, Father, do you have a church search this week?
I do. And the church I want to talk about, I visited last night for the first time. It's Our Lady Help of Christians Parish, which has 4 churches, 4 sites. So Litchfield is the major one. There's one in Seville, Novi. And the one I visited last night, or is it Novi or Nova? I forget. The one I visited last night was in Lodi. And it's a small church. Mm-hmm. It has a gravel driveway, but the place it was packed for night prayer last night. There were almost 40 people there. Wow. And I wrote Father Ed Szynski a note today thanking him for hosting, and I said, your parishioners pray just as well as the seminarians, like the cadence between the choirs. It was awesome. So if you've never been down there, they're still hosting 9 nights of night prayer for the next 5 days. And then on the last night, we got the Theotokos ice cream, vanilla base, baklava chunks, honey. It just went into production yesterday. It'll be served down there at Our Lady Help Christians in Lodi.
Baklava.
Not too far from Brunswick, Dena.
That's true.
Someone can bring some to you.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Exactly.
After the pedicures.
And then our scripture for this week, also not including pedicures, but that's from John's Gospel, the Raising of Lazurus.
Lazarus might have needed a pedicure.
Especially after being in the tomb. Surely, Lord, there will be a stench. So there we go. And so what's standing out to you this week, Father?
This reading is read often at funerals, and one of the reasons I like it so much, it's one of the 2 times in the Gospels where we hear that Jesus wept, that he cried. And sometimes we think, oh, it's not manly for a man to cry, suck it up, don't show your feelings. But Jesus himself wept. Why? Because his friend died and he was sad. And St. Thomas Aquinas says that when we cry, sorrow leaves our body through our tears. So it's a healthy thing to do. So I like that. I think that's cool to know that Jesus had a friend who was so close that when he died, he wept. I would imagine, and I know I've done that at funerals for people I've loved too. So how about you ladies? Anything?
I think for me, I'm always telling people, God is God, right? There's something about the wonder and awe of who God is. So I think the takeaway for me would be when Jesus said, take away the stone. I just imagine this like strong moment where it's like a reminder about the wonder and awe and truly that God is God and God is a very good God.
Yeah, I always think about I said earlier, sort of in jest, surely, Lord, there'll be a stench. But I think about, well, how often is it that we, think that there's no hope, that there's nothing left, that everything just stinks, but yet God finds a way anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I always harp on that one.
And although our listeners can't see it, Desi's wearing a shirt that says, Pray like Mary, work like Martha, and it's Martha who's the one who's, inviting Jesus into this situation, which is really cool. And it sounds like from this podcast that you two feel a lot more like Martha than Mary, even though the ones that are working and active, but finding that time to be like Mary too seems like
Yeah.
an important thing to do.
Yes. So, Dena, Desi, any parting words for moms out there who might be struggling?
Gosh, do your best. Do your best and do not compare yourself to others. I mean, I feel like even in listening to Desi, our lives are so different.
Yeah.
And if I were to compare myself to her, I would think I was failing. But
Oh my
really,
gosh, stop
I
that.
am trying, and my kids are happy. They sometimes stay healthy, and we're doing the best we can. And we should all, literally support each other and just cheer each other on. It's the only way to get through.
Yeah, I tell my spiritual directees, compare and despair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, and I'm guilty of it. And that makes
Sure,
you
me too.
really...
Dena is absolutely this amazing, wonderful mother, but she is 100% correct. You can't compare. Our lives are all going to be different, but the goal is still to get to heaven, right? So I'm always reminded, and I feel like I'm always trying to share that I am known and I am loved. You are known and you are loved, and I think we have to constantly remind ourselves that.
And you two are known and loved here on Question of Faith, where we'll have more for you next time.